There we go. I actually might have a sneeze coming on. Hold on.
Do it. Another one.
I jinxed it. It's
Or you
going
shouldn't have
away.
said it.
Shouldn't have said it.
Speaking of sneezes, welcome back to our next episode.
Today,
Oh.
we are talking about music. Have there been any songs about sneezes?
I'm sure Weird Al has something. There's gotta be.
There's gotta be. Actually,
There
yeah,
has
now
to
that you
be.
say it, I'm like, there's a picture in my mind.
Let's see. Okay, Weird
quick
Al
looking it up.
sneeze. Nothing that comes. The first thing that comes up is Weasel Stomping Day. So that's, I guess, the closest to. If you type in the words Weird Al and sneeze, that's what you get.
Well, Weasel Stomping Day is a classic, so
I'll take your word for it.
So we are talking music, how it intersects with mental health. If you're new to the show and you like what you're hearing or seeing, if you're on YouTube, please subscribe. It helps us really grow and spread our message. And the nice thing about YouTube is that you get to see Eddie's kind yet rugged face.
Yeah. And if you feel like it, we would love it if you leave us a review, whether it's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. The Apple Podcast app just got a very small but subtle update. If you have an iPhone and you update it to the newest one, now if you have like the Apple Podcast widget, it used to just be purple and it would like show the podcast you're listening to. But now it takes into account the color of the cover art and it like changes it a little bit. So nice little, and I tested it on ours and it looked kind of nice. So
Cool.
yeah,
I like it. Well, let's start with some story time. I'll start us off here. I noticed that when I talk to my patients, I ask them about coping skills, what helps them get through hard times. And most kids, when I ask them, they say music. If I'm struggling, I can listen to something that helps shift my mood, helps get me out of a bad mood. And I can totally relate because when I was about 14 or 15 years old, I had some anger inside of me. I wouldn't say out of proportion for what is normal for most 14 or 15-year-olds. But I even got suspended a time or two because I would get like too pissed off in PE. Like how many people get suspended from PE class? That was me. I was that weirdo. I was just taking it a little too seriously, a little too hard. But when I was at home, I had a strategy for getting my calm again, for getting my anger to go back down. And it was the song Guinevere by Crosby, Stills, and Nash. And you guys will learn through this episode that I'm a very old soul when it comes to music. And that 1960s and 70s music is what really speaks to me the most. But Guinevere is just such a peaceful and beautiful song. And it's something that just calmed me down immediately. So I think music is such a powerful thing and can really help change our whole mood, change our whole perspective on the day.
You talk about getting like suspended for going too hard in PE, and like I don't know someone that got suspended for going too hard in PE, but there was one time in elementary school, this one kid really loved running the mile. Like I hope that when he got to high school, like that he was a great like cross country and long distance track runner, but he loved it so much. And one day he was just not following the rules. Like he was like not getting in line and like talking and all that. The teacher said he wasn't allowed to run the mile, and he got so pissed. He went into the back and just started slamming the doors. He was so mad. So that was probably the closest that I've seen.
Yeah. I actually got suspended multiple times from PE. There was one time, let me tell you a little story that we had to like run laps around the football field, and these kids were really not into it, not trying, and it's PE, like who cares? But if one person slacked, then we all had to run it again. So I told these kids to like these two kids that were walking in, I was like, get some balls, like just run so you don't have to make everyone else. And then they flipped out and like were like, oh, we're gonna beat the shit out of you, yada yada, because I told them to get some balls. And so then I got in trouble for initially telling. But surprisingly enough, at my new job at the hospital, the guy I told to get some balls works in food service at the hospital. The nicest fucking guy. And I'm so afraid to like go up to him and be like, hey, do you remember? Like, that was me like 15, 16 years ago now. So like,
I think you should.
I really should eventually. I see him like all the time, and I'm like, should I do it today? No, I'm busy. Oh, no.
That's hella funny. Oh, well, back to music. I think in preparation for today's episode, I just tried to reflect on like how helpful music can be. Justin talked about it a little bit, but there's a lot of kids when you talk about coping skills or what can help them in the middle of class or how do we de-stress, music, right? That's like number one or number two. And music is just one of those things that helps us. It makes us feel in ways that are hard to describe. It's also just a super creative medium. And you don't always catch what people are trying to say in music. And I think that's what we really wanted to talk about today is just like, one, how much it can impact our mental health positively and like that like intersection. And two, like how much, the lyrics can really like speak to us. And I wrote in the show notes, like sometimes we miss things that the lyrics are saying and cough, cough, Drake getting his ass whooped by Kendrick Lamar in their rap beef. I had to watch a bunch of like TikToks with Kevin describing what I missed in the lyrics because there's a lot of like hidden meanings in those things. And I think that part of music is really cool. Like being able to like give a message without giving the message, but still giving the message, if that makes sense. I also think about when I was in middle school, I think one of the few things that I regret from like being a student was in middle school, I was in band for 3 years and I loved it. Like it was great. At some point, either 7th or 8th grade, we moved to a block schedule. So instead of having every class once a day, we had every class, it would basically alternate A day, B day. And then you would have in a 2-week period, you would have A day 5 times and B day 5 times. So it was an equal in those 10 days. And I just remember when we moved to that schedule, being able to be in band for like 2 hours at a time, anytime we had it was like the best. And I enjoyed it a ton. Again, one of the one things I regret from school is just not continuing on after middle school. But band was great. And I think just, it was one of those things I didn't realize it at the time, but just being in band, playing, practicing was like a de-stressor and something that gave me a break within the school day every day in middle school.
Nice. Yeah, band was such an open environment, and it just seemed like, at least in my school, that was where people would go and feel accepted, which was really nice. I think music always tends to be a place where people who don't feel like they fit in can go and feel at least loved.
Yeah, and I'll tell you too, we get, anytime I meet with a band kid, if they're having a hard time or they come and see me in crisis or whatever, if you ask them about what instrument they play or how much they enjoy band, like easy connection right there. They're always so passionate about it and excited to talk about it. And then I tell them that I played clarinet for 6 months and then I moved to baritone or euphonium, like the mini tuba, for the last 2.5 years of middle school, and they always think it's pretty cool.
That's super. I don't know if I knew that about you. I don't know if that you. I didn't know that. Yeah, dang.
Yeah, it was cool. It was so I switched from clarinet to euphonium or baritone because I wanted to be. We had 3 levels, right? So it was like beginning band, intermediate, and then wind ensemble was the audition band. And I really wanted to be in the audition band as a 7th grader. And naturally, there's just a ton of clarinets. And the reason why I chose clarinet was because there was a ton of saxophones at the time. So basically, like if everyone tells you if you want to play saxophone, might as well start a clarinet. It'll be easy to pick up afterwards. And it was. It was. But I really wanted to be in the audition band. So I basically asked my teacher, what is my best chance of getting into wind ensemble next year? And she said, we don't have a lot of low brass. So if you pick the tuba, the trombone, or the baritone, you got a pretty good shot. So I was like, fuck it, we're going baritone. I'm the only one in beginning band. And then I was one of 4 in 7th grade. And then in 8th grade, I was like one of 2. So yeah, It was fun. It was a good time.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to throw out some stats and facts about music. And I looked into this, that every known culture on Earth has some form of their own music. I think that is
Mm.
fascinating. To find something that is truly ubiquitous amongst all groups of people, it's music. So music really does appear to be universal. It's such an important part of being a human being.
Mm. Ubiquitous. What a word.
I know, I like ubiquitous.
uh, so a meta-analysis from 2022 by DeWitte et al. Showed that music therapy helped modulate the effect of stress so that stress didn't have such a profound impact on mental health.
And it was actually a pretty significant effect size. It was a medium to large effect size, which is a pretty big deal. So according to the IFPI, the average person listens to about 20 hours of music per week. So if you expand that to 350 million Americans, we were listening to billions of hours of music collectively. And I think that's fascinating.
I'm trying to see if I can quickly find it. I don't know if I will, but if you have Spotify, you get your Spotify Wrapped every year, and then on Apple Music, you get the same thing. And it's always interesting to see how many minutes of music listened to people get. Like there's some people get a ton. I found mine. It says I listened to just under 25,000 minutes of music. What does that translate to? Let's see if we do
25,000
25,000. If we just divide it by 52, that'll give us the weeks, right?
You need to divide it by 60 to get hours.
Divide by 60. Mm-hmm. So about 8 hours a week. Damn, I'm under.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dang.
But still, that's decent. I could see that on my way to work, way home, at the gym. Like I could see that. I think it used to be a lot higher, like when I had longer commutes, and then just when I was a student, right, like studying and always have something on. So, yeah.
Am I the last person on earth who still listens to Pandora?
Are you fucking kidding me right now? What's your Pandora rap look like?
They don't have anything like that.
No, you're not. You're definitely not. One of my coworkers, at least a couple of my coworkers, I think, still listen to Pandora.
Nice. Well, my brother got like the family plan and threw me on there, and but I also have Spotify because my wife got like the family plan, and it was just like, oh, I'll throw you on there for free. So I got both, but since I was always kind of listening to Pandora, it's hard for me to like make the switch over.
I'll tell you right now, this is all about music. Spotify. I have been a paying member of Spotify since like 2012, 2013. So I've invested a chunk of change into Spotify. Yeah, it's like $10 a month. There's a few years in there where I got the student discount of $5, but for me, it's totally worth it. $10 a month.
Yeah.
Access to all stuff. You can find our podcast there, but you have access to a ton of stuff, a ton of music. So
funny you should bring it up. Yeah, the Pandora Wrapped is them just emailing you saying, please don't leave us. That's at the end of the year. Like, we only got like 8 people. Please. We love you.
You get a phone call from the CEO. Like, you get a Zoom link. Please accept this direct
he sounds
gratitude.
Tired. He just sounds tired. Eddie, what are some of the most important song lyrics, important songs to you in your life?
Yeah. Okay. So I thought long and hard. I feel like there's so much, like, when I reflect on music, right? Like, what brings me back is like the 2000s R&B hip hop era. But then I think about it, I'm like, man, there's not a lot of like profound lyrics, right? There's like Goodies, My Goodie, right? Like there's Get Low. That's not making me think. It's not really like Let It Burn, right? By Usher. Like, actually earlier today at the gym, I was like, one of the songs that came on was We Belong Together by Mariah Carey. Like, you know, I love Mariah Carey. Like, those things are great, but there wasn't stuff that like really made me think. So I really had to think, like, what are some lyrics that like really, I feel like I'm a consumer of music, but I don't always listen to the messages as much. And I don't know if that's good or bad. Either way, it's probably fine. But one of the first songs that did pop up was this song called Home by Sons of Zion. It's a 6-person reggae group from New Zealand. And I've actually been a pretty big fan of theirs since about college. So anytime I actually do listen to their music, it comes up on like a shuffle, anything like that. It just brings me back to that point in my life. So that's like a positive thing. So maybe that's the part that I get from music. Maybe it's not so much the lyrics, but maybe it's just like where it transports me back like into my life. So the lyrics that I chose, I'll read them and I'll describe it a little bit. So it starts off with, "Where have you been? The lady pulled me closer. Still chasing dreams. Is it everything you hoped for? The house looked the same. The lining on the bed of the color." And then it said unsure. I couldn't find the exact lyric to it. And then it said, "One thing has changed. My love for my family. It's growing with age." So again, as I was thinking of lyrics that I wanted to use for this episode, this was one that did come up as like, this one did have the lyrics itself did have an impact on me. And I remember distinctly driving from, I believe it was like Forest Grove. You know, if you remember being in Forest Grove and you wanted to get to Highway 26, you had to drive in the back roads. And I think I was driving by myself and it was dark. It was like nighttime. And I remember finally like listening to what it was saying, even though I've heard it a ton of times, something like clicked to where I paid attention to what it said. And it made me think about just my own life and thinking about the idea of leaving home with not much else than like my actual stuff. Like when I left for college, I didn't, besides the physical stuff that I brought with me, really all that I had was just hope that things were going to work out well, right? Didn't plan a lot. And I tell kids this all the time. You got to plan your decisions out. Don't be like me and just hope for the best, even though it worked out. And it really like made me emotional at that point, and it made me appreciate that my family, where I've come from, and the fact that that hope was enough for me at 18 years old to feel like I had enough to that like things were going to be okay, and like that anytime I come back home, there's still this huge love for family and the importance of family. So even now, like when I was getting ready to type up the notes and stuff for this episode, I was like had it on repeat, just that part, still feeling like a little emotional thinking about it. Just like that whole, it's late at night, my windows might have been down in my Tacoma, driving in the middle of nowhere because there's nothing out there, trying to get to the freeway, and just reflecting on like where I was at in that moment and what it took to get there, you know, leaving high school and where I was at the time.
Isn't it so special? Like how many things in life can give you that feeling, give you that chills, that make your hair stand up on your neck. It's few and far between, but music seems to be one consistent thing that can do it for most people.
Mm-hmm. It's like, you know, like sense of smell is like really strong and tied to memory. I remember this is when I was younger. I remember I went to like Reno with my family, and Reno's got some gambling and stuff, right? You go into casinos, it smells like fucking cigarette. And I remember we did that when I was younger. And then when I got a little older, we went on like a middle school football trip to Vegas, stayed in a hotel. And immediately when I walked in the hotel, I thought back to like and then Reno and Vegas are both in Nevada, but just like, yeah, music kind of has that of like certain parts of songs and lyrics and beats and all of that are just so tied to memory that it just like almost sucks you back into where you were.
Yeah. Like a song comes on, bam, I'm all the way back in college. Song comes on, I'm all the way back in Omaha. Like it transports you so quick.
Yeah. I send our friend, our mutual friend, Colby, sometimes like, songs will come up, and I think I sent him one recently. I was like, you know, I haven't heard this song in forever. This is the first time I've heard this song, and all I can think of is like at a party at your house in 2014. Like it just like it sucks me back, and I got my fucking backwards snapback on, and I have my cargo shorts and my cutoff shirt at a party. Like it's crazy, and I know those are just like trivial, like fun memories that like there's probably not a whole lot that I remember after that, but I don't know. It's still cool to think about and how it brings you back.
Cool. And funny you should mention reggae bands and Colby, because you and Colby were in how do you describe it?
I plead the fifth. I think reggae.
Yeah.
Ryan too.
Yeah. They had a fake reggae boy band where they played air instruments called Ja Boys.
Yeah, we're going to leave that there. All right, next up.
ones that I remember the most when I was 15, off that same album as Guinevere from Crosby, Stills and Nash, was Wooden Ships, which the opening line is, "If you smile at me, I will understand, 'cause that is something everybody everywhere does in the same language." And such a great opening line. Like, if you smile at me, I will understand. That's something everybody everywhere does in the same language. And that was, middle of the Iraq War. United States was in a lot of turmoil. And that just seemed like a line that really spoke to me about how we should view the world. And I thought it was so beautiful. And then I was reading up later on it, and apparently David Crosby actually stole that from a church marquee that put that, how you drive by churches and it'll give you little messages. Yep. Yeah. He didn't actually write it. That was, he took that from
phony.
But hey, whoever actually did that line, good on you. Who knows if they're alive or anymore.
That's funny. I mean, now that you say it, that does sound like a really good, like, church sign line. Like, hell yeah.
It fits, right? Like, okay, that makes sense. It was on a church.
Yeah. I'll let you do the next one because I only have one more left because, again, like, I think I'm more of just like a song memory person, but I'll let you, because you have the nice, deep, philosophical lyrics.
I got a couple of them that, and I've been even we decided we were going to do this episode a couple of weeks ago, so I've been keeping my ear to the ground, seeing what lyrics speak to me even. And I was listening to the Eagles lately, and I was listening to their rendition of Desperado. I don't think they actually wrote the song, but I love the line where it says, "In freedom, oh freedom, that's just some people talking. Your prison is walking through this world alone." And so, that just really spoke to me about someone who idolizes the loneliness and the independence of life. It's like, yeah, you have your freedom, you have your independence, you're out there doing it on your own, but truly, deep down in this world, you are alone.
Yeah. Is it bad that it's making me think of the Green Day song? Boulevard
I walk a lonely road.
Oh, okay. Since we're just doing lyrics and like memories, so this is kind of sad. There was one time I had surgery on my foot in college, and I had like crutches and stuff. And it was like I'd like gotten to school, I was going to study, and I just remember like I was like halfway through being able to just be off the crutches and stuff. And I remember being so like frustrated with it that I was just like annoyed having to do it. And I had my headphones on and I was like crutching. And like one of the lyrics of this like one like obscure like reggae song was something to the effect of like, "This road that I'm walking is a lonely one." And I just remember feeling so bad for myself. Like so sad. I'm like, it's raining, I'm frustrated, this shit sucks. But we toughed it out. We were okay after, but
And sometimes you have to let yourself feel those feelings. I heard Jim Carrey recently. He said that in his life, he's learned that he can't try and distract himself, avoid those feelings. You got to face them head on. You got to feel those feelings because that's life. And if you try and avoid them, they're just going to creep up eventually.
That's like the people that like will purposely seek out sad songs because they know like if they're feeling like they're having a hard time, like I just need to cry, and they'll have a sad song playlist. Or like I'm sure if I Google, I'm gonna look at right now on live as we record, I'm opening Spotify, I'm on search, sad, right here, first thing that comes up, sad crying mix. Next playlist, sad songs to cry to. I can probably look up more, but yeah, let's see, do you know who? Oh, this one's sad. Someone You Loved, Louis Capaldi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I was kind of used to being someone you loved.
Yeah. That motherfucker's got some sad songs. Anyway, yeah, like that's
very sad
absolutely.
songs.
Absolutely. Like, you know, I tell kids all the time that like if we have these emotions and we don't like pay attention, not even pay attention, if we don't like do something with it, if we don't acknowledge
Hmm.
it, they come out at some point, whether we
Yeah.
decide to or not. People are really good at and resilient to the point where you can keep emotions to yourself for days, months, years, long time, and just sometimes eventually it just comes out in a way you don't want it to, and we don't have that choice anymore. Like if we don't acknowledge the feelings, and we don't have that sad crying hour with our sad playlist, it'll come out eventually.
Hmm. And you mentioned people who seek out sad songs, and that's always been me. Whenever I write songs, they tend to be more sad songs because I want to get
Mhm.
out my sadness and feel my
Yeah.
happiness. Speaking of sad songs, and along those same lines of Desperado, as
Mhm.
the line between independence and loneliness, I wanted to throw out a Joni Mitchell song,
Mhm.
um, "Cactus Tree" from her first album, "Song to a Seagull." She was such a hippie. I mean, who makes an album called "Song to a
Song to
Seagull"?
a seagull.
I love it. I love Joni Mitchell. The line is, "She will love them when she sees them. They will lose her if they follow. And she only means to please them. And her heart is full and hollow, like a cactus tree, while she's so busy being free." I think that's just like the Desperado thing, where it's like
Yeah.
you want to be free, you want to be whimsical, you want to do your own thing, but sometimes it makes you hollow inside.
Yeah. Damn. The hollow like a cactus tree. And
Yeah.
that only me like I feel like that only impacts me because at some point real or like learning that like cactuses are hollow. Like there's not much in there. It's like, oh shit.
And she was Canadian. What does she know about cactuses?
That's a good point.
Cacti. Oh,
Do they have any in Canada? I don't
good
know.
question. Okay. Third Google of the day. Cactus in Canada?
Question mark?
Yeah. Looks like they've got some small cactuses, so it looks like I misjudged you, Canada. Because, like, even Wyoming actually has cacti. And Canada, she grew up in the plains of Canada, so I'm guessing it's, similar flora and fauna.
So she knows. Yeah, she might be an
She
expert.
knows. Yeah.
Well, should I
Give me
do
your
my
second
next one?
song. Yeah, go
Okay.
for it.
It's a little long. So, it's in Spanish. I have the translation as well, but I'll talk about it a little bit. So, if you are on the TikTok at all, there was a point last year where this group called Grupo Frontera, they blew up a little bit. Basically, what happened was they had this song that I think was even a cover. It's not even their own song, but they covered this song live, and somebody like added it to a video of a guy dancing, and he was like really into it, and like it was this whole big thing where the video just like blew up and got a ton of like listeners and views, and people reposting and all that. And because of that, Grupo Frontera blew up, and it became like a really popular song. And then they started making their own music, and then this led to a collab with, if you know, Mr. Bad Bunny, who's like one of the biggest reggaeton and just like artists in general right now in hip hop. So they ended up doing a song together last year, and a lot of people were like, "This is such a huge deal for them," because they kind of just came out of nowhere, and with a short amount of time, made this extremely popular song with Bad
Yeah.
Bunny. So it's called Un Por Ciento, so like 1%. If you look it up on Spotify, it's un, so UN, and then I learned this. I guess this is a way to write por ciento, which makes sense because it's percentage. It's X and then 100, and then TO is like the slang or shorthand for por ciento in Spanish. So anyway, this is the opening lines. I will do both for you guys. So it starts off like this. Me queda 1% y lo usaré solo para decirte lo mucho que lo siento, que si me ven con otra en una disco, solo es perdiendo el tiempo. Baby, ¿pa' qué te miento? Eso que me vieron feliz no es cierto. Ya nada me hace reír, solo cuando veo las fotos y los videos que tengo de ti. Salí con otra para olvidarte y tenía el perfume que te gusta a ti. Prendo para irme a dormir porque duermo mejor si sueño que estás aquí. Right?
Mm.
And that's the opening of the song. And I just remember when I first heard the song, I'm like, God damn, this song is fucking good. It is a banger. It is so catchy. It became, actually, let me tell you this, because like most people, whenever my Spotify Wrapped comes up, I screenshot the parts that I like. This was actually my most listened to song last year at 91 times from April 2020, from April 22nd throughout whenever they cap it and they start doing the data for Spotify Wrapped. So this was my shit. So when I say this is my shit, this is my shit. And it wasn't until I was on the TikTok and I saw one that it was basically this like, oh, why are you crying like meme? Like it's a guy crying. And then you swipe next to the like next picture and it's this song. Like it's like a screenshot of the song playing. And it like, I listened to the lyrics. I'm like, oh wow, this is really fucking, it's like, damn, bro. Like this is hella sad. Even though like once the beginning stops, it like speeds up and really does have that like norteño reggaeton like sound to it. So like norteño music, right? Mexican norteño music. They'll typically have like saxophones and accordions, and it has like a specific sound to it and a specific beat and the way people dance to it. So when that part starts in the song, it's like, yep, super catchy. I love it. Hell yeah, people can dance to this. This is what the lyrics mean. And again, this has nothing to do with anything I've experienced in my life, but it just, for some reason, it must be the ability to have this like super catchy, like fire song that just like I really like with these sad lyrics that really like the intersection of it or the dichotomy. I don't know if that's the right way to use that word, but
juxtaposition.
Juxtaposition. Okay. So here's the lyrics. I have 1% left, and I'll use it just to tell you how sorry I am. If they see me out with someone else, it's just to waste time. Baby, why would I lie to you? If they ever say that they saw me happy, just know that it isn't true. Now nothing makes me laugh, only when I see pictures and videos that I have of you. I went out with someone else to try to forget about you, and she had the perfume that you like. I spark up, or I get my marijuana ready so that I'm able to sleep, because I sleep better if I dream that you're here. Super sad.
Yeah.
Like does not fit the catchiness of it that I like really enjoyed of it. So I don't know. There was something about just, those two like competing, really sad, really catchy, that really have stuck with me, and maybe why I like the song so much that I listened to it 92 times last year, at least on my own on Spotify.
Yeah. I remember there was an NPR piece probably about 15 years ago now that had, if you have a happy sounding song with sad lyrics or vice versa, a sad sounding song with happy lyrics, there is an inherent draw to that song because there's depth, there's complexity, it makes you think. And so that's what it sounds like that song is a little bit.
Yeah. Damn, maybe I do have some song lyrics that have some depth. Complexity. What else you got for me?
I got one that's a little bit more contemporary than what I'm used to, but I actually love the pop star Halsey. I think she's fascinating, and it's pretty clear that she's struggled with her own mental health stuff. So I think that adds, as a psychiatrist, a lot of fun element of analyzing her lyrics and what they mean. But one of my favorite lines from her Manic album, titled Manic, not that she wrote it while manic, but she says, I know it isn't fair for me to make a memory out of a feeling. And I think I maybe have even mentioned this lyric in the past, but I think it's such an important line because people who grow up with a lot of childhood emotional trauma and invalidation tend to be very unsure of their own memories. So if kids are constantly hearing, that didn't happen, you don't feel that way, that's not how you feel, that's not what's going on, you're making things up, that chronic invalidation of how you feel and think. And a lot of young people, unfortunately, go through this in their lifetime. It skews their memories of what is real and what is not real. And a lot of people can make memories out of feelings, but it's particularly worse in kids who have trauma in their lives. And Halsey recognizes that in herself in this song. She says, I know it's not fair for me to make a memory out of a feeling, admitting that she does it and it's causing problems in her life. And she knows it's not fair to the people around her, but she can't really help it.
Damn.
I love that stuff.
Yeah. And that was one sentence. That
I
damn.
know, right?
Damn.
Yeah, I love Halsey's stuff because she's not only so talented. Did you see her like Saturday Night Live performances at all or anything?
I don't think I have. I've more been a Saturday Night Liver over the last like year or so.
Okay. Huh.
But anything that's anything a little older, I don't always catch the references, or I don't always see it. Yeah.
She did these performances where she would sing an entire song, but also draw an entire painting at the same time on the floor where she was standing. And like, I'd be like, what an unbelievable talent she is.
Yeah. Wow.
Similar to Joni Mitchell. Can sing and paint too.
Yeah.
All right. I got a couple more songs and then we'll get into some discussion questions. I'll go through them quick. Actually, both of them are from one of my favorite albums. When I was living in Seattle, Seattle can be kind of dark and gloomy and rainy, similar to where Eddie's living right now in Portland.
Hey, man, it's fucking sunny right now and hot.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it while you can.
Yeah, this shit's gone on Saturday.
So David Albarn is like the guy from Gorillaz. He is Gorillaz, but he made a solo album.
Gorilla, is that the Feel Good Inc? Am I?
Yeah, that's Feel Good.
Yeah.
That's Plastic Beach. A lot of bangers, a lot of good songs. Yeah. So he actually just did a solo album, but Gorillaz is basically him, so they're all pretty much solo albums. So I don't really quite know the difference. But when I was in Seattle, I couldn't stop listening to this because it just fit the dark, gloomy, rainy Seattle so well. And this first song is called Press Play. It's about using music to change your mood. So I figured it would fit really well. But the line is, can I get any closer? What antidote can I bring to you? When I'm lonely, I press play. And he even infuses the sound of a tape going into a tape deck and closing in the song as a rhythmic part of the song. It's super creative. It's super fun. It's kind of lonely and dark, similar to what Seattle felt like. And then the second one I have from that same album, which is called Everyday Robots. This is from a song called The Selfish Giant. That's all about how technology is separating us, how it feels like we're more connected than ever, but we're more disconnected than ever. And there's a really good TED Talk on this too, if you haven't checked it out already. But the line from the song is, I had a dream that you were leaving. It's hard to be a lover when the TV's on and nothing is in your eyes. I had a dream that you were leaving, where every atom falling through the universe was passing through our lives. And I just thought that visual of it's hard to be a lover when the TV's on and nothing is in your eyes, like dissociating, using that technology to disconnect from the world instead of connecting with the people who are right in front of you, is just such a powerful line for our society today.
Yeah, just this week I was having a conversation with a student talking about how they feel like their parents don't understand like the importance of having their cell phone and like being able to connect with people that way. And it's like, yes, and kind of thing, like both can be true. Yes, it is important to connect that way. And also it's getting in the way of a lot of other things, a lot of other natural processes, like connecting with someone you've never met before, that you just meet for the first time, like having a full on discussion. Like, I don't know, there's a lot that I think, it's a yes and thing.
Yeah.
So,
We gotta use technology smart. We gotta use it to connect with people, but we also have to connect with the people in our real world too. That's important.
Yeah.
All right. We are towards the end of our time here. So Eddie, in your opinion.
Oh, dude, I was so excited about one of the questions. I just saw you deleted it.
I did. You want me to bring it back?
No, just one of them. Just one. Let's do this one, and then we'll do the opposite. Okay. Let's start with this one. And then we'll do like the favorites.
Okay. Who are the worst musicians in your opinion?
Let me. No. The first thing I thought of was Nickelback, but I don't even have a problem with Nickelback. People just seem to have a problem with Nickelback.
Yeah. Everyone does.
I paid at least a few times 99 cents for a Nickelback song on my iPad or iPod. So I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
gonna hate. I don't I don't know if I can say a worse musician. I just like it's just one of oh, you know what? Morgan Wallen. That motherfucker's
Uh,
racist. The people listen to him.
yeah, I mean, what country music star isn't just a little racist?
I hope not Luke Combs. He seems like a good guy.
Oh, he seems super cool. So yeah,
Yeah. What do
but
you
I
think?
gotta about like
Worst.
worst musicians. Hmm.
Hmm.
You know, for some reason, I wouldn't say this is the worst musician. Do you know who Peso Pluma is?
Stop. Leave him alone.
I saw a picture of him and I was just like,
Oh,
"What? What am I looking at here? What's going
bro.
on?"
Doble
I
P.
noticed.
Leave him alone.
No, he's not the worst in the world. When we were talking about Spanish music, I was thinking, I noticed
It's,
that like in young Mexican kids these days, that kind of like bowl cut mullet is back.
yeah.
That's like the look
Yeah.
right now, and it's
Mhm.
not the most
It's different.
flattering look.
It's different.
Yeah, and I
Back in the
noticed.
day, it used to be the fucking crispy ass fade with the ice pick sideburns, and now
Hmm.
it's very different. Yeah.
Yeah, it's changing. So I saw that Peso Pluma had that look of kind of the bowl
Yeah.
cut mullet. I'm like, okay, sure.
It's interesting how much that kind of the music that he makes has changed like over the last couple of years. So there's this like section of music in like Mexican regional music called like narco corridos, which is basically like songs about drug trafficking.
Yeah,
And they used to be, and it's I feel like it different regions of Mexico like have different types of music, but they still those kinds of songs are in all like the different regions, right?
mm,
And it's interesting how much has changed. Like they're like popular again, but like in a newer way, in a different way with like the younger crowd and younger artists. And it's interesting how much they've like come back and how much they talk about like these very dangerous like drug lord lives when I don't necessarily know if that's their own life. Where back in the day,
yeah.
it felt like these groups were talking about it from firsthand experience, and it feels like maybe not so much right now. But it's
Hmm.
really interesting. It's been a big shift. I feel like I'm a fan of it. Like I shouldn't really talk down on it, but it's interesting.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Favorite musicians right now. What are you enjoying?
Yes. Okay. My boy Khalid. Khalid is like my dude. I fucking like. I wanted to do a Khalid song. I really did. I went through. So his whole American Teen album. If you haven't listened to it, every single
Hmm.
song, really good. His second one, I think, was called like Teen Spirit.
Free
A
Spirit.
lot of good ones. Free Spirit.
Uh-huh.
A lot of
Uh-huh.
good ones. Not as much. Like not every single one. But he does have some like really deep like vibey, melancholy songs. So I've really liked him. I remember me and Colby really liked him like in 2017 when he first came out. We actually went to his
Hmm.
first concert of his first ever tour in
Cool.
like 2017 or 2018. And his first stop was in Portland and it was at the Roseland Theater. So to give listeners perspective, Roseland Theater holds maybe like 2,000 people. And when we
Nice.
went, we were probably some of the older people there, even though we're only like 23, 24. And we were in like the 21 section by ourselves. So we had like this dope view, like great, great. And we weren't like crowded with people. Well, to give perspective, like a year and a half later, he came back to Portland. And this time he was in the Moda Center. And the Moda Center is where the
Whoa.
Portland Trailblazers play. So to go from 2,000 to a place that holds like 20,000 was crazy. So I'll
Huge.
say 100% number one, Khalid. That is my dude.
Cool. Did I tell you about when I went to go see Khalid? Did I tell you the story?
No. What?
He was on tour with Ed Sheeran this past summer, and so
Oh
we
yeah.
were at Mile
Oh
High,
yeah. Remember
and
now. Yeah.
and then so we were so pumped to see Khalid. We were just as equally pumped to see Khalid as Ed
Yeah.
Sheeran, and we get there. Khalid starts playing. He gets a song and a half in, and then he
Yeah.
stops mid song and says, "I'm so sorry. They're telling me in my earpiece like thunderstorms are rolling in. I got to get off the stage." And we're like, "No!"
Oh no,
That
man.
was a huge bummer.
Oh yeah. Damn.
Hmm.
I'm sad for you.
Yeah. And then I'd say best or probably biggest artist right now for me is Odessa, the EDM
Oh yeah.
band that my wife is super into. She's gotten me really into, and that their live shows are just so emotional and big, and it's such a feeling, and really helped me connect with music. Because yeah, I did music in high school. I played saxophone. I was very intellectual about it. And I don't know, thinking and being too much intellectual about it, maybe disconnect a little bit from it. So it almost helped
Hmm.
me just get back into the feeling and emotion of music instead of just analyzing it so much. So I'm so glad that she introduced me to that.
You know who we didn't mention was the two friends and their big booty mixes. How could we not
Oh,
mention that?
shout out right now to two
Yeah,
friends, Big Booty, like
yeah,
huge musical influence in both of our
yeah, yeah.
lives.
Yes. Big Booty Mix 20. If you just want to listen to a mix that just from start to finish is amazing, go listen to that one. They put out some really great mixes. They pull music from all genres, all years. Like it's some good stuff. And that is
It's
I'll
amazing.
yeah, I'll double down on being a music person where it impacts me is where it takes me back in the memories it takes me to of just like right now thinking of when we were on like the bus for Cushion Malia's wedding, shout out Cushion Malia,
Yeah.
listening to a Big Booty Mix as we were driving around doing all that. That's I love it.
Cool. Yeah, we'll have to tag Big Booty, two friends. Well,
Yes.
cool, man.
Oh, this was fun. I
Yeah, I
liked it.
needed that. That was good.
I hope you guys enjoyed it. Listen to music. It's beautiful. It's great. I might listen to some later today when I'm washing the dishes. We appreciate you all. Thank you for being here with us. You know the deal. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Leave us a review. Leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you on social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, at Millennial MHC and millennialmhc.com. Thank you all. We appreciate you all. And do not forget, take care of y'all mentals.